something that you guys can probably not see, but we could see it on our screen. Lorenzo Santoni is actually a bounty duelist.
I just noticed that as well. Yeah, go on, say it.
That means Noah gets 2 boosters if he wins, so there is a lot on the line here.
Let's go. And also, they are 8-1 in the tournament currently, so it definitely would help out to win this. Oh, and look at that. I really like that addition to the Kashtira deck, because we see Lorenzo is on Kashtira, but he's also running the Primitive Planet Phobia.
Or as known among many players, the Scareclaw field spell.
Yes, exactly. I mean, he's searching a Scareclaw card. He searched Scareclaw Kashtira, and the main purpose of this card being in the deck, of course, is set rotation. You're usually going to give this card over to your opponent, but if you draw it, it's also not that bad, because as we could just see, you can just search out for the Scareclaw Kashtira.
It's the sort of, it isn't the 4th copy of the Kashtira field spell Wraith Soth, but it allows you to run a 4th copy in the form of set rotation, and players are super keen to add any consistency they can to their deck.
It would even be the 5th copy, because Terraforming, of course, is also still there. Yeah. So we saw Pot of Prosperity resolving, grabbing the most powerful 1-card starter that there maybe is right now in the format, and it gets met by Effect Veiler from Noah, and sometimes the Effect Veiler on Kashtira Unicorn can be enough to stop the entire deck. That's going to be 2 back row in the pass from Lorenzo there.
Look at that, Lorenzo even activating the second effect of the Unicorn.
Why not? Just to see what will happen.
Just gets negated again.
But now let's see. I know there's Mathmech on screen, but we are about to see some other cards hitting the field here as well.
Some fireworks,
there are so many interesting cards in there. Okay, that is considered to be a Mathmech card, I would say, starting it off with Silent Mining, but discarding Elemental Hero Stratos. And Lorenzo is like, yeah, Silent Mining probably a good card to ash, and therefore we are ashing it. This is crazy. He's playing Mathmech with heroes.
Have a chat.
And he has Circular already. Just had this was a bait there.
Every time you ash the Silent Mining, there is the hard row Mathmech Circular, and it just makes you reconsider every life choice you've ever made.
That is so strong. But now begins the interesting part.
I think maybe if you're Lorenzo, you're not too unhappy because you've got that Kashtira Unicorn in play, so you could get to use its effect now, look at Noah's extra deck, and take a card out of it. So
yeah, that is true.
The possibility of getting OTK'd is a lot lower if you can take a key piece out of your opponent's extra deck, like Access Code Talker or like Update Jammer.
And he's only running 1. I'm just having a glimpse at the deck list.
That is true.
Only 1 Mathmech players have started to play.
I want to see Lorenzo's face now. He's looking through the extra deck and he's like, there are a couple of cards, but I couldn't really understand why they're in there. There are like Scareclaw cards in there. There's this Bringan's Merrymaker. What is going on here? And look at Lorenzo. He really doesn't know. And he goes for the Zeus instead.
He plans to not get OTK'd this turn. Of course, Merrymaker plus Sargus is a really powerful combo to, even if you run a rank 4 toolbox deck, that you can Zeus for 2 times, basically.
Agreed for sure. And we are reading the Sigma now. And the thing is, there are so many different engines. There's the Scareclaw engine, as we saw, and some hero cards as well. But as soon as you activate Mathmech Sigma in the grave, you are going to be locked into Cyber's monsters. So therefore, a lot of those engines are not going to be applicable anymore. And that also makes me question why he went after the Zeus, because that at the moment does not look like a Zeus turn to me.
It does require a lot more thought than normal, because normally you play the Mathmech cards and you just play it in a pure Cyberse deck, right? So you don't have to think about all these restrictions, and somehow all of the restrictions on the Mathmech cards, your deck just kind of naturally plays them. You know, you can only use Cyberse monsters, fine, my whole deck is Cyberse monsters. You can only attack with 1 monster, fine, I'll play an Access Code Talker with an Update Jammer and make it attack twice. Like, I can play around all these restrictions, but if you try to include extra engines in your deck, then these restrictions might become very real.
This is a tough deck to play then, because you definitely have to sequence your plays, and yeah, that's usually the card you are searching for going second. Mathmech Equation. Going first, you will always try to set up Mathmech Super Factorial, but now going second, you just want to have an extra extender. Mathmech Equation, being able to special summon 1 Mathmech monster from your graveyard, really helping out to get that extra body onto the board.
It's granting the monster 1000 attack points.
Yep, that can help. And there comes Laplacian.
So that is Ellenberg.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, yeah. You're the Mathmech expert in here.
That is, in fact, true.
So do we think, given our discussion and seeing that he's running some extra engines, that maybe he actually doesn't want... Maybe it's like, for most Mathmech decks, we just assume Circular into Sigma is the perfect start.
Yeah.
But maybe that's not what Noah wants to be doing?
Probably
if he's got
not.
other monsters in his extra deck.
If I look at his deck... Oh, but there's the Hard-Drawn Diameter already, but maybe we have another Impermanence there, because we impermed V diameter.
That would still be an OTK at this point, let me tell you that,
Yes.
unless he plays the equation in the in the pendulum zone that was just impermanence. However, Lorenzo just denied 2 searches, and that is the dangerous part of denying searches. If your opponent has already hard drawn the card that they want, it's just, it doesn't help you at all.
No.
That is
And
true.
once another, if Noah can make an XYZ monster here, which it looks like he's going for a link instead, then you would have a negate for the turn with your Mathmech diameter, but it doesn't
That's
look like
true.
he's been able to do that
But yeah,
just yet.
Coming back to the different engines in this deck, I think you are right. Normally what you're trying to do with those decks that are just featuring the Mathmech engine is that you go for the other stuff first, and then at the last thing you are going, like he interrupted you on your hero cards, he interrupted you on your Scareclaw cards because he didn't know you just played the Mathmech engine as well in this deck, and then you are going for Mathmech circular effect and you are going to have a good time.
So maybe Lorenzo not super familiar with this deck because he's getting up a
Nobody is.
translation of Splash Mage.
I don't know if I'm late on this party, but I just figured out what the a Hero Lives combo is supposed to do.
Go ahead, I want to hear it.
So you special summon out the Stratos, search for the other Stratos, normal summon that one, get the effect to get rid of a back row, and then you're already into your Dalembert with the 2 level 4 monsters. So you basically get a pop and the search for the Mathmech off of the Hero Lives.
Is he running any extra copies of any extra elemental heroes to search, or just the 2 Stratos themselves?
I think it's just the 2 Stratos.
It is just the 2 Stratos indeed.
That's a blast from the past for me. The 2 Stratos.
Oh, and now I want to see that, like, there is a scenario in which Noah OTKs through an impermanence here. If he manages to, I think it's already not possible anymore here, because usually you can transcode Talker, protect your access code from targeting, while having
But honestly,
2 attacks with the update jammer. But
Do
I
we
don't
think
it works
maybe
possible.
Lorenzo would have played an impermanence by now if he'd had one?
oh, what is it? It's
what is the
really
face down?
it is enemy
Oh.
controller, and that is actually really powerful because if you're getting rid of that update jammer, no, I think you have to take the update jammer. But he's not taking the update jammer.
But the Splash Mage was used already. He
I'm
just
interested
opened
by
himself to
that.
an OTK. I think he still has
He
equation,
knows
right?
about the equation in hand. That equation is going to get another Mathmech monster, and then we have transcode into access code here. Why was he taking that Splash Mage there?
Maybe Lorenzo is not that familiar with the cyber strategy at this
Absolutely
point.
not. I mean, he had to read Update Jammer and Splash Mage, which are really popular cards for the deck. And he also decided to get rid of the Zeus, which is not that often to be summoned in the Mathmech strategy anyways.
Especially once you've seen your opponent use a Mathmech. No, Circular doesn't quite lock you into Cybers.
But the Sigma does,
But the
yeah.
Sigma does, and the Sigma was what was sent off the Circular.
Yeah, indeed.
So now Noah is really taking his time on this turn here, and yeah, that is the equation in the enemy controller column. I was scared
rightfully
for a
so,
second.
rightfully so.
And I mean, he was really taking his time here. I was kind
There's
of
time,
scared that he forgot how to combo this because he was so confused that Lorenzo just took the Splash Mage. I mean,
But
the
yeah.
Splash Mage was already used, right?
Wait, let me check something. There is no transcode talk in his extra deck.
Really?
I'm just looking through his extra deck, and he's playing so many engines that there is no space for a transcode talker.
Oh my goodness.
And that's why we are going into Heat Soul right there. So I think the turn is over here. So Lorenzo maybe exactly knew what he was doing there.
I mean, I guess he did know as well that there was
Yeah,
no
of course.
access code. Maybe he would have picked out the access code if he'd seen the access code.
And access code is in there, but the transcode
Yeah,
is
there's no transcode in there.
Okay, in that case, I think he should have possibly
But I
taken
mean,
something
just
other than Zeus.
every
but
Mathmech, is he playing Mathmech Addition or Subtraction or something? He has no space for that, no. So I don't think there's any way to get another monster onto the board
He's
here.
even playing. Is he playing a Scareclaw card, right?
Yeah, he's playing a Scareclaw engine even. He's playing-
Imagine set rotation. Okay, activate Break Phobia. I have combo now. Thank you.
do you remember when people initially ran set rotation to give your opponent the Gaia Knight
Yeah,
field spell
yeah,
that they
yeah,
simply
yeah.
couldn't activate without
Chaos
a Gaia Knight in their
zone.
deck? And then people started running Gaia Knights in their deck so that they wouldn't have their field spell zone locked.
Oh, and we just went for the end phase. We
Wow.
didn't even attack over the Splash Mage, just wanted it back. And now comes Heat Soul again, drawing another card.
But I
mean,
love Decode Talker Heat Soul.
it is really
It's so
strong.
much fun drawing 2 cards.
Especially when you're drawing so many, when you're playing so many hand interactions. Last turn, 1 effect value was enough to stop Lorenzo, but now we have Ash Blossom, Drone Lockbird, effect value. We have so many different eruptions that are possible
And
there.
Lorenzo did just stop after
Exactly.
his 1 unicorn was negated. So has he got any follow-up to the Unicorn.
We knew about the Scareclaw Kashtira on hand.
He's also running the Therian King regular, so he's not only playing the Sargas.
He's playing so many
playing
wild
everything.
cards.
Does activate... Oh, he's just attacking with it, perhaps?
Yeah.
I was thinking perhaps he might have a birth to follow up, but it looks like he's just going to his battle phase and attacking.
In this situation, it's quite interesting because Heat Soul currently is getting boosted by its own effect, so it is on 28, and Scareclaw Kashtira is only on 26. But the Scareclaw Kashtira battle effect comes into place. Whenever a Scareclaw or Kashtira monster is battling, the opponent's monster that it's battling against is going to be negated, and therefore it is going to be big enough to run over the Heat Soul.
It's always something to keep in mind, this effect, because it's really not one used very often and very easy to forget about.
And also, it's whenever a card is battling. So whenever you are declaring an attack, it's already too late for your opponent to do something about it.
They are writing down some... Yeah. Okay, oh wait. Well,
yeah, I mean, of course they're going to write down some
That was probably
damage.
saying like, haha, you know, you forgot that my monster had 500 extra attack.
Now there's a Splash Mage still on the field. And I mean, Splash Mage does not have to reborn into his zone it points to, right? He could just get another monster from the graveyard there. And there's Small World coming down now, so I think any of his engines are available for him again. He has to check whether his bridges are still alive or whether some of them are in the graveyard already.
Does he have a way to go into the update jammer again? Because otherwise he would have to search for Diameter.
I mean, can't we just...
Dinotherium! It is a level 4, so I think there will be a possible bridge. You can not use the Stratos.
Because it's a wind monster, that's true, yeah.
Oh no, just one Stratos is gone.
Yeah, but it's a wind monster, so it doesn't match up.
He must have a plan for how his...
Parallel is a wind monster indeed.
Is a wind monster, yep, okay, so now he can add any of his Mathmechs, I guess, because they don't share any attributes, types, whatever, with Parallel Exceed other than being Cyberse. Right?
There are a lot... Diameter you can't take at this Format Skipper.
But this is Format Skipper. He's playing that as a free-off, so he really values the card.
It's very important that you can't take Diameter, which would be really good in this scenario, because Diameter has 1,000 attack points. And
does Parallel Exceed also have 1,000 attack points? Okay.
If I am not mistaken. Oh wait, this could be
it has
2,000.
I think
maybe it's 2,000 and it halves itself when it's summoned.
But I mean,
so it normally has 1,000.
So much for reading cards, right?
Apart from when it's in your hand.
So we are reading up on the Format Skipper there, so we might as well read up on it on screen here as well.
I think it shows you like an extra deck card and then takes the name of the extra deck card. That's how you went into Nightmare Mermaid back in the day, right?
Yeah, I think that's actually the case. So there is Book of Moon. So on the normal summon of Format Skipper, immediately going to react with Book of Moon.
But that's just fine, right? Because now
we still have Splash Mage.
He also has Sigma. And there's no monster in the extra monster zone.
You're right. I almost forgot about that.
But does he want to use the Sigma until he's had a chance to... Is there anything in his extra deck that's not a Cyberse that we think he might want to play this turn?
Could go for Merrymaker Sargas plays and summon the Therion.
But how is he getting to that with only Cyberse monsters? I don't think that's possible.
Not at all, I think.
So we are going...
use the Splash Mage.
Oh, what's coming here?
Oh, so it
that's a
look
link
like
too. But that could be Cyberse Wicked though. Yeah, that is Cyberse Wicked indeed.
But now he can't summon the Sigma back, but apparently he has some... Well, turns out we are setting a card. Maybe this was the hard-drawn Super Factorial.
Oh no, we're still going on? No. Oh no, we're explaining the effect of Cyberse Wicked.
Yeah, but I mean, Cyberse Wicked cannot be destroyed by battle, and Scareclaw Kashtira couldn't care less.
Yeah, because it is just going to negate. And also,
it's too scary.
Oh, but there's the hard-drawn Super Factorial!
That's definitely not what you want to see.
That is super strong.
He had it coming, right? That really looked like a Super Factorial set. And there's not much that Lorenzo has left in play. He can even chain block the Laplation.
This does so much. Like it offers you one negate this turn. It takes a card from your opponent's hand and their field. Like
and no, the whole field is going to be gone, and also the whole hand, because that is only one card in hand for Lorenzo right now. He's going to be left with no cards, and that means Noah Beygelman is taking game number 1 here with the Mathmech deck, if you can call it like that, honestly. Like, what kind of a strategy he has brought you to this tournament?
I am utterly confused.
Yes.
I mean, I really like the Hero Lives engine. I think that Stratos, search Stratos, normal Stratos, pop a card, and then go into the rank 4 immediately is incredibly strong, to be honest. You can also, if you have the Circular, you don't even have to go into the Alambertian. You can just go into the Springens Merrymaker and then into the Sargas. You can search for the Regulus. Then you can summon out the Circular. You can do so much stuff. Get the machine into the graveyard. I can't stop, but...
it's a cool deck. I just want to see what it can do. I'm just...
And it seems so versatile, doesn't it? It has so many approaches. You can go so many different routes, as you said. Maybe going for Zeus some of the time, and it's just
I just really dislike one particular thing.
Go ahead.
Transcode is
so
incredibly important, because otherwise Splash Mage is just not access code talker. There are so many routes that you can't go if you are not running transcode in terms of going second. I mean, he has access to Zeus, which is great, but you cannot access Zeus if you only have the circular. So you really are relying on having more than one card for your combo, which also means that you are not very good in a top deck scenario in the grind game. It kind of gets a little worse
see what
there.
you mean. Because one of the great bits about Mathmech is it's so efficient. Just to normal summon any of your Mathmechs, or after you've got the Sigma in the graveyard, you can just climb away to any links you might want. Transcode Talker, however, does have a restriction about not being able to summon from the extra deck apart from Cyburst monsters. And it looks like Noah's trying to use a lot of non-Cyburst monsters in his extra deck, so maybe he thought that's why he didn't include a copy.
True. Transcode is going for the whole turn with that, right? Even before he was summoned.
But
so
I mean,
that's kind of a restriction.
I really like the fact that Circular alone is an access code talker with 5,300 attack points and 2 attacks if you search for the equation.
Quite powerful.
And that does not work without the transcode talker.
I think every Mathmech player likes that, to be honest. In general, that's a pretty common thing among Mathmech players.
I think it still works without the transcode talker. Wait, let
probably,
me just... Circular Sigma, summon, search equation, go for a Splash Mage, summon the... Oh, well, then the Sigma gets banished, so it's a little bit more difficult there. Yeah.
It is not that easy, but I will have a quick look what Noah now, that will be going second again, most likely.
Noah will be super... Oh, sorry, Noah. I was going to ask about Lorenzo's side deck, but yeah.
I mean, okay, then let's start with Lorenzo, because he's going to go first here again.
I was just wondering if he was
going
to be super prepared, because he might not have known what the...
Yeah, I mean, you can't be prepared for that deck, because nobody has known about that deck being a thing. But I mean, there are very generic going first cards that are coming in here for sure. A Pointer of the Red Lotus, Solomon Judgment, of course. Those are just super good versus basically anything.
I've definitely got my eyes on those Dimension Shifters too.
I could see those coming in too. Those are usually versus big
crazy combo deck. In it
just
goes.
Throw that shifter in for sure. But we are going to see the answers to those questions in a moment, because the players are ready. So let's get back over to the table and see what Game 2 is going to bring.
Just FYI, I just went through the combos while you guys were talking. I didn't hear a single thing, to be honest, but you can OTK just with Circular.
Deep into the tank.
You can, okay. I mean, let's see what is happening here. So, we are going to see Lorenzo starting this one off, and how is he going to do that? He's starting it off with Terraforming, which is, of course, really powerful. And there is the Chain Dimension Shifter you were bringing up. So that's a huge thing here for Lorenzo. Right on.
And that is a big ouchie, I gotta be honest.
For me, Dimension Shifter is actually one of the best bits about Kashtira. It's so powerful.
It is.
This is like easily the most powerful hand trap in the game, in my opinion. If your deck is allowed to run it, doesn't need the graveyard itself.
And if your deck is not allowed to run it, then it is still the most powerful one in the game.
because that means it's against you.
So, this time we're searching for Fenrir. Usually you're going to see a search for the Unicorn, but apparently we already have Kashtira Theosis in hand, because that would explain just going for Fenrir here instead.
If I'm Noah, I'm thinking either he has the Theosis or the Birth. Probably the Birth, because he's just searched
Now that looks like Birth a lot more, indeed.
And in this situation, I think the Dimension Shifter even helps you combo, because you get to banish some of your Kashtira effects, obviously activate when they get banished. So not only is it stopping your opponent, but it's also helping you.
For sure.
The thing is, right now there is nothing.
There is nothing banished yet, but Lorenzo can quickly change that.
I mean, do we have Rysart now in hand?
That's certainly what it looks like.
Yes, we do. Okay.
That looks like a full zone lock. But there is Veiler and Gamma. Veiler can't be activated anymore, which is a nifty little feature of the Dimension Shifter. I think
really asserting itself as the best hand trap by stopping the other hand traps from even being allowed to play.
We are banishing Tearlaments.
Lockbird is also stopped. The last OTS championship that I played, I opened Veiler Lockbird and I just got shifted, so the game was over.
Fun.
So he's going for the monster zones?
That is an interesting take, because usually if you're going for the full zone lock, I would advise personally to go after the back row, but he decides to go after the main monster rounds here, which is maybe indicating that he's not even trying to go for the full zone lock and maybe go for a middle approach of going for a free zone lock or something here.
Yeah, it's nice to have the spell and trap card zones because your opponent can't use a lot of the very powerful like comeback cards, like Book of Eclipse, like evenly matched.
For sure.
And then oftentimes if your opponent doesn't have any spells and traps to help get through your field, then your one interruption with the Kashtira Rise Heart is enough to stop their monsters.
But Leo, I think you saw Gamma in the hand of Noah, huh? Didn't you?
Yeah.
So that's actually quite interesting because he took a little bit of a risk there by not using the Gamma on something before the Rise Heart, because now Rise Heart already banished 3 cards from the deck of Noah, and that could as well be a driver, and therefore the Gamma in his hand could not be live anymore.
I would have thought with... I mean, is he even running Gamma, or did I...
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I have Gamma in his main deck list,
because I would have
Testing your
thought
eyes.
that you might want to throw it on the Dimension Shifter, because if you are under Shifter, you really have a difficult time playing. You're not running Addition, you're not running Subtraction, you won't get off the Circular Effect by any chance.
No, that's an interesting point, actually. I would, you'd normally think you want Gamma to stop your opponent's, first turn opening plays, but to stop your opponent's Dimension Shifter is also pretty handy.
There is Telemans Kashtira.
So this is the full sort of zone lock.
Yeah,
that
we
took
have
people
to set up
a little bit longer to
up.
figure out. It's a bit of a weird line. You have to banish one of your Kashtira monsters, not the Big Bang, and then use Ogre to add the Big Bang. And this way you get to have a Rise Hard and play for a lot longer, and you get the one extra monster that's necessary to lock.
But I mean, now
we're
I think
still missing one monster, right?
I think Birth hasn't reborn yet, so I think we're absolutely fine. And
so we're going to get one for the Bang and one for the Birth.
Exactly. That's a nice saying. That's modern day Kashtira Yu-Gi-Oh! One for the Bang and one for the Birth.
I love, Shang 1, Bang 2. That's my...
Yeah, but I mean, now, if we are assuming that we saw it correctly, that there is a Gamma in the hand of Noah, I guess the best card to Gamma here at that point would most likely be the Mind Hacker, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
because
guess
then the board isn't that impressive anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, you still will have to fight through that Dimension Shifter. Oh. Okay, he makes his opponent mill there with the Telemans Kashtira. That's nice. So that was another risk for Noah there, to be honest. But maybe the driver is already banished by the first effect. So that risk has not turned out to be favorable for Noah there.
He might be waiting for the Diablosis.
He might be waiting for too long, though. Let's see.
I've sort of played through this line. If your opponent has the Arise Heart and you just negate the Diablosis, it might not be enough.
Yeah.
Because you're going to summon the Gamma, and then obviously Lorenzo's not going to get 2 banish effects off the Diablosis. I know he's only going to... But he can still get 1 off the Arise Heart. So you're still going to be having 3 zones locked, and your opponent's still going to have an Arise Heart in play on the next turn. So when you summon your first monster...
And that is enough here in this particular moment. Noah has seen enough, so this is going to be game number 2 to Lorenzo. So Kashtira versus the Mathmech deck of Noah is now equaled in score.
First full zone lock we have seen all weekend, right?
I think for us personally, yes. I think the Italians already had one, to be honest.
A zone lock and a graveyard lock.
The Italians and Nadir.
And Nadir, of course, yeah. Excuse me, of course. But yeah, what do we expect to see now from Noah going first? Because in the first game, he was going second and he showed us a pretty cool display of his deck. But now we really want to see a combo board of this deck, because we are expecting this to make something on top of the regular Mathmech field, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm excited to see, because the Mathmech, one thing I love about the Mathmech is how consistent it is. All you need is that one circular and you can do everything. But the one thing I didn't like is when you play it and you have a ton of Mathmech cards, you still basically do the same thing. So maybe Noah's figured out...
I highly disagree.
You're disagreeing? Okay.
I highly disagree, because people
maybe I just don't play it well enough.
People have figured out that with Alimbertion, if you have 4 materials attached, you can search for any
that
card in your deck.
That is definitely true.
You get your combo plus anti-spell fragrance or whatever card you desire. So what I have seen in his list is that he's also running Psy-Frame Lord Omega, so he hasn't found the space for a transcode talker. However, if he gets Gamma off after getting the Silent Mining hashed, then he can go into Omega. So that is apparently more valuable to him. I don't say I disagree.
This seems to have offended you quite personally.
I don't say I want to disagree with this. I mean, his score speaks for him, right? I'm just sitting here. I mean, I haven't lost a single game with Mathmech this weekend. I want to say that as well. But that's a different story.
Thank you. To be honest, tearing up the caster tournaments.
Yeah, that is true. The speed jewel ones at least. But he's also running Lambda, so that
I was about to say that. Yeah, he's committing to that Psy-Frame engine more than to his main engine of the deck.
Apparently.
But I mean, Noah for sure, coming all the way from the US here to our YCS in London, has really brought some spies with him. So it is so far a pretty good trip for him, and he can really start to put the cherry on top now with his feature match, because if he still X1 after this round, if he manages to win this game 3 here, he's in a pretty good spot to maybe already look with one eye into the top card, right?
Yeah, that was something we didn't mention. The players have got 1 loss and 1 draw each. So at this point,
they're only X1, I think. There's no there's no draws for them yet. Yeah.
Oh, well, only 1 loss.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can possibly afford to lose 1 of the next 2.
Yeah, but don't.
But don't.
Just
Why
don't,
bother?
exactly. Don't bring yourself into trouble.
I tell you, one of the best feelings, though, into one of these events is to go into the last round where you know you have enough wins and you can
no
just...
idea. To be honest,
we
no
couldn't
idea.
tell, we couldn't tell.
I
Can't
played
relate.
someone once. Somehow I always, whenever I make it to the top card, it's always I lose the first round and then win out. But one time I remember I was in the European Championships. It was the last round. We both only had 1 loss.
Nice.
And we started the game and it looked like it was going to be a long game. And my opponent just said, "You know what? I'm done. You can win."
I am pretty sure we are not going to see that here in this game, because there's still a lot on stake for these 2 guys, and they are ready for this really intense game number 3 coming up. So let's go back over to the table. Let's see what Lorenzo Santoni and Noah Beygelman have to offer for game number 3 here.
So let's see what Noah Beygelman can put up for a field that is supposed to impress us with Lambda, with Omega.
I can't imagine you're going to be impressed by anything at this point. You're going to tell us it should have had a transcode talker on it.
I think we're about to see a really cool card that has not been really featured in any decks, and there it is. It is the Piri Rice map. That was a card that DDD actually played, but I've never seen it in any Mathmech deck. I mean, if you can call this a Mathmech deck, to be honest, but what are we searching with this now? I am
0 attack point
really
monster, format skipper, right?
Probably, yeah, it is the format skipper indeed. We are searching for it, but we are giving up half of our life points for that.
I want to know what... does format skipper just... Can you just show Merrymaker and then summon Sargas onto this?
I mean, maybe we're about to see that.
Is that absolutely insane?
That does sound like a very, very cool effect.
So what are we showing? It is the moment of truth here. Noah Beygelman, what is he revealing? Okay, I mean, that also works. And we can just link 1 into Lightheart with that. That's also a pretty cool feature. So we are going to search for the field spell here right away. And I think Lorenzo is just completely confused. He's like, I thought I'm playing versus Mathmech, and now you just made Format Skipper into Lightheart, and we are apparently playing versus Scareclaw now. All of a sudden, we are searching for Reichphobia, and now I'm checking out the rest of the main deck from Noah. So the cards he could search for Reichphobia are basically Acro and Rykard. More likely to be Rykard, if you ask me, though.
How well do I must confess, I don't know the Scareclaw cards particularly well. I know that they have effects based around being in defense mode and attacking in defense mode, which is already quite fun.
Yeah, very similar to actually our the super fun, super heavy Samurai deck as well.
Have we talked about how Format Skipper searches out parallel exceeds?
No, we haven't.
I did notice that when I read it. It seems like it's just too good to be true, you know? You get any Link monster from your extra deck and then a parallel exceed just for fun.
Yeah, but I mean,
nice
there's another monster that has just been summoned into a Link zone, which is the Rykard, searching for the Scareclaw Arrival, which is just another Reborn. And as we were anticipating, we are going through a lot of stuff before even going into our Mathmech cards. Yeah. So I think we are about to see a really strong endboard here.
This is giving me Utrecht vibes.
Yes.
All of a sudden, people played Scareclaws in the Tierlement strategy with Punks and, of course, also with Vyse's Starfrost.
Yeah.
It's fun to run Visa Star for us because almost all the cards.
Ooh, and we go into Lambda, and I mean, this is so cool because now Lorenzo has to think that there is going to be a Gamma in the hand of Noah, and that makes him safe.
Yeah, this
because
card makes you paranoid.
Yeah, you really don't want to use any monster
Do you think
effects.
it's just a mind game, or
It might as well
I mean,
be.
we can see his hand, but
It might as
once
well
your
be.
opponent's made it, that's that, you know.
If he throws something now, there is going to be Omega.
Oh, there's one card being set to... Oh,
Yeah.
we also play... We play 3 copies of Shade Brigandine. How did I not see that yet on his list?
You seem to be having a lot of fun here, Leo.
I don't know what's happening.
How many cards is that even in his main deck? That's a question we have to ask him because I don't have a
You can
total
count
here.
that, Basti.
That would be too hard of a task here, but I think it's quite many. And well, what is this Shade Brigandine here going to accomplish, though?
It's a level 4. I think that's basically half of the...
Does he have a
time free doer? Come on.
free doer?
Come on.
No, there isn't a
There's
3 doer
no
in his
time for
extra
reader in
deck.
the next deck. But there is the Merrymaker! Springen's Merrymaker hitting the field here.
But where is the machine in the graveyard for him?
Is
and
the
we'll have to-
Sargus a machine that you make on top of
Yeah,
the Merrymaker?
but
so you have
he
to
would
link
have to
that
link it
away.
away, yeah.
Not too big of a cost.
Into what?
But there is the Sagas.
Wait and see.
We are about to see. I'm also so confused that Lorenzo had to read Splash Mage and Update Gemmer, but he was like, yes, Springen's Merrymaker is absolutely fine.
I mean, he probably was prepared a lot more for the Trap Tricks deck.
Apparently, yes.
So what do you think, if you're Lorenzo, like, what do you make of all of this? Like,
I don't know. I
just-
think you're just hoping that the evenly matched you potentially drew is enough to break all of this. Which,
it's
at
not
that
anymore.
particular point, is not anymore, yeah.
Do we have like an IP in the deck of Noah?
Let me check. IP Masquerena
I
is a
couldn't
card
see
that
one.
he is also not
Yeah,
playing.
why would you run that in a Mathmech deck?
True, true. I don't know whether we could even consider this a Mathmech deck at that
At
point.
this point, no.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to do all of this and then play a circular
Another
and do
rank
the
4.
Mathmech
This is a
combo.
Lambertian now, and as you anticipated, we did all that, and now we are also searching for circular, which will also enable our Mathmech combos. So on top of our board, we are probably also going to set one of our super factorials.
And apparently Sargus does something else as well. But what I want to say is now you cannot summon the Sigma via its own effect because you have something in the extra monster zone. However, you can use the Alambertian to tribute a monster from the field and then summon the Sigma back. So Sargus is just in the graveyard now, apparently. That is what's happening.
Sargus, I think it can destroy itself.
No, you
and
can
then-
target one card on the field to destroy it or return it to the hand, and that is when an Exceed Material has detached something from itself.
So
and that is
it
what
just
Alambertian
targeted
just
itself.
did. Yeah, and it just
This
destroyed
guy
itself.
just popped itself.
I mean,
Yu-Gi-Oh is crazy, man. I don't know what to say.
really
Yeah, I
is.
had
It
my
really is.
2800 monster. I'm
and
just going
there's
to pop
Mathmech
itself.
Nabla
He's
now as
playing
well.
Nabla?
That is absolute madness. But Nabla, isn't Nabla the one that is a tuner? Are we just summoning the Omega here? Because
That will let you search a Gamma.
He didn't normal summon, did he?
I don't think we normal summoned yet.
No, format
Oh,
skipper.
wait, of course, yeah, it all went from performance skipper.
Because this is only 2 Mathmech monsters in the graveyard now, so this makes Super Factorial significantly worse, but I really do not doubt Noah at this point anymore. I think there's going to be something to come. But by the way, when did he lose half of his life points?
Piri Rise map just
Oh,
immediately
okay,
is
okay,
for
okay.
half of your life points.
It's okay, because Lorenzo will activate a Pot of Prosperity, and then it'll be just like he had full life points for that turn. Half your life points, but take half damage. That seems
So
fair.
there is the Diomeda
Oh,
now
yeah,
coming
that's
down.
the thing with Nabla, of course.
Oh,
That's
of
why he runs it.
course.
How did I miss that?
Yep, and then
How could you?
No, honestly.
there is indeed the Omega. We are just summoning it as nothing happened, and we are going after one card in hand here. What is he hitting? There are a couple of very crucial cards he could get there. And it is, he's hitting the Phobia again. So Lorenzo in game 1 and in game 3 is
and
starting
Lambda
with it.
does something now. I think that Lambda
Yeah,
actually
Lambda
searches
searches
Gamma.
for Gamma.
What is happening?
This is insanity, seriously.
I was going to say, maybe Lorenzo's sort of kicking himself here, because maybe he thought the Lambda was because Noah had a Gamma in hand.
But it's about
But
to come.
now the Gamma's about to arrive. So, to sort of summarize Noah's field, he has one Super Factorial face down, a very powerful interrupt that's going to put up an effect negation, as well as be able to send a card from Noah's monster zone, spell and trap card zone, and hand to the graveyard. He's going to have a Gamma in his hand, and he's going to have a Therion King Regulus to negate any effect.
How are you guys
That
not
Lorenzo-
completely out of your mind right now? This field is absolutely crazy.
bonkers.
It
It's
just
absolutely
shattered my
bonkers.
entire world. I don't know what is happening anymore.
I would love to know how Noah came up with this, because this looks really strong, not gonna lie. This was a one-card combo. He started this all off just by having Format Skipper, and he has multiple ways to search into it with Theory Rise Map and, of course, Small World. So this is looking strong. And I mean, let's not disregard drawing cards like Mathmech Circle in this deck is also pretty powerful. So he has a lot of really good starters here.
Not to mention the Signet Mining. Is that a level 4 or level 4 or lower? Right?
It's level 4 or lower.
Level 4 or lower. So
It
you
works.
have...
It works.
Anyway, Huds.
I'm so happy right now. he just took one of my favorite decks of all time, which is Mathmech for some reason, and he just made it so much cooler. Like interactions like that, just going into Omega. I said he's playing Omega because he's going to maybe resolve a Gamma. No, he's playing Omega to make it off of Circular and Diameter, and then search a Gamma because Lambda is part of the combo. So now we are passing over the turn. We have the Super Factorial in case we just want to enter the battle phase immediately with the Unicorn and attack over Lambda.
I was thinking, do you shotgun it now?
No, you wait for battle phase.
You
There's
wait for
no
battle
reason to
phase?
shotgun it.
Well, if your opponent activates Unicorn, then you'd have to negate it, right? Whereas if you just activate it now, then you can destroy the Unicorn.
Noah is
before
really
its
considering
effect.
activating Super Factorial here, and that's
there we
exactly
go.
what he's doing.
But I agree with you. Like there's different schools of thought. You could just let your opponent
The thing
search
is,
once.
let's go through this here. We are resolving Super Factorial. That means we're going to get rid of one card in hand of Lorenzo, and he's already only starting with 5 due to the effect of Omega. So he still has 4 left. One of them is going to be gone, so he's on 3 cards in hand, and we have Gamma, Regulus, and also the negate for Diameter. So we actually have 3 cards to deal with 3 cards. So that looks perfectly fine to me.
I totally agree. Unless what do we are there any powerful, you know, like Lava Golem, Sphere Mode type effects?
I don't see any of that, to be honest.
I think those would have been on the field already, right?
Yeah, probably.
Well, yeah, I agree. But you may wish to wait for the factor. I mean, you might not, but...
I mean, then there is the chance that Lava Golem gets sniped out of the hand and you want to get rid of the Lambda and Regulus as well.
Noah just, after getting rid of something with the Omega, he just likes to if Lorenzo was playing, as if Lorenzo was playing Dangers. We are constantly rolling dice to put cards out of his hand, and that triple tactics thrust was a huge hit there. That was strong.
So Lorenzo, yeah, he's got to read. If I was Noah, I think you can do something a bit sneaky here. Like the Diameter doesn't actually have to be a material. So if you detach the Diameter and put it in the graveyard, your opponent could forget about the negation. Whereas if you leave it under there, it's quite, you know, it's a lot more obvious to your opponent.
To be honest, this stops you from having discussions. I tend to do that as well, so people don't tell me, well, the Diameter is not under that.
But there's another thrust, and I mean, we have to negate thrust. There's just no way around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diameter negate is out already. We have the Gamma, we have the Regulus, 2 more cards in hand. Noah has just made me the happiest man in this venue. I think this is absolutely cool.
There's Pearl Rhino. Not Pearl Rhino, the other planet.
You wish,
it's Race-Up. Yeah, it's Race-Up though.
Lorenzo would make Basti the happiest man in the room. He activated
if it would be Pearl Rhino, honestly.
I mean, it can search the elements Kashtira, so it's basically...
It would be reasonable, yeah. It would be reasonable, to be honest.
In this matchup, to be honest, it
would
be a better
yeah.
set rotation target.
It certainly would be. So we are letting that resolve, which is risky because now we can search for a monster that is going to be running over the Lambda, actually.
Yeah.
And then it would be 1 less negate there.
And then it would just be the Regulus left. And that just negates the effect. It won't destroy the...
Yeah, and imagine then the last card in hand being something like maybe Kashtira Birth. Or because the Unicorn in graveyard has not even used its effect, so we could go Birth, reborn the Unicorn, and then the Unicorn could use its effect to go into another Theosis. But we are searching for another Unicorn here.
To be fair, you always have problems with double spell here, because you have 1 Gamma that is only just a monster negate. So even if you activate the Regulus to negate the Raids off, then you still have a problem against Birth.
That is true. Yeah, you're right.
So do we think we'll see a battle phase attack here then? From Lorenzo, just to get over the Gamma and get over the...
We probably have to.
What's the Cypher M extra monster?
Lambda.
Lambda, okay.
This is why I did not like the Super Factorial immediately shotgun, because you basically want to use the Gamma first, right? You want to use the Gamma because it is the easiest interaction you want to get rid of. It's the easiest one that Lorenzo can get rid of. And you also have the Unicorn effect out for the turn then.
Yes,
so now he
I
can just
agree.
search a Unicorn and get the Kashtira Theosis as well.
So we did normal summon the Rysart here.
One of the things that
And Rysart, I think Rysart is big enough to run over Lambda here. And then Unicorn would also
I
be...
don't think so.
With
Oh,
the
wait,
field spell,
right,
it very
yes.
well
Oh.
is. It is very well enough
Well,
to
that's
run
a
over
very
there.
good spot
And I
from
think we can
Lorenzo.
also run over Regulus in that case, because there's so many different attributes currently on the field. And due to Rysop, they are being boosted here. And I think we are getting rid of both interruptions here.
How many can we count to here? So we have how many attributes in play?
Regulus would be a crash though. Now, because now we have still 3 and we are at 300 boost, so 2.8 on the Unicorn. But we are running over an Exceeds monster, which is also really good.
Pretty good, I agree.
So you may as well activate the effect of Unicorn here because you really don't mind it being negated. It doesn't. So
That is true.
Ethereum King Regulus doesn't negate the effect of Unicorn
Yeah,
for the
for
turn.
sure.
It just negates one effect. So
Let's have another look at this crazy extra deck. So Lorenzo is like, what am I going to hit here? Okay, last time Access Code Talker looked a lot more scary than Zeus. So let's go after the Access Code Talker. I think I would go for Access Code here, yeah. He
in
does
mind-
as well.
Lorenzo not got the most threatening board that he needs to hit with Zeus. I think he's navigated it really well, to be honest. I love the spot that the field spell can pump up your Kashtira Rysart to attack over the Lambda.
Sorry.
I was going to say, I also like that he normal summoned the Rysart rather than special summoning it, because if you tried to special summon it, that's an effect that can be negated by the Gamma.
Yeah. Guys, keep in mind, if you activate the Regulus here and tribute it, the Gamma is live again.
Exactly.
Oh, you're right. That's perfect.
Well, not perfect, but
I mean, it is pretty good, for sure.
Also, you get the Omega back.
Yes,
in
the
Semper
Omega
phase.
will
We cannot
definitely
forget
come
about
back.
that, for sure.
I think you... Do you actually... There is like a really tough decision here. You could Gamma the Rysart because, you know, there's not a lot of follow-up. I think there's no follow-up at all here.
I was
Not at
thinking
all.
that if I was Lorenzo, perhaps you're supposed to use the Rysart first, because your opponent... I don't know, actually. It's quite hard, because either way you use it, if your opponent uses the Regulus, then they can use the Gamma afterwards. And I was thinking which one, you know, if you use the Rysart first, then your opponent has to use the Regulus.
I like the
maybe it
idea of
doesn't
Leo,
matter.
because if you go with Rysart first, and he is somehow negating that, you can then just get to birth. Oh, no.
No,
then
you Gamma the Unicorn, which
there's-
is much worse.
There's no good way around it, is there?
Because you want to have something to banish from the extra deck next turn. You want to activate this Unicorn again, because at this point, there are only 7 extra deck cards in the extra deck, of course, and you want to get rid of every single resource because it is incredibly
definitely.
important by now.
That is definitely one of the things, you know, when you're playing a deck with lots of different engines, again, like, even though your deck is somehow bigger, your extra deck is the same size. You can't run any more, you know, you say, oh, well, I'm running 7 engines, so I get more extra deck spots.
So
no, that's not how it works.
we made
you
that
can't
a level
play
7
Transcode
here.
Talker today. And he's allowed
We
it.
did not negate that, yeah, and we're now going to Shangri-Ira. How did we not negate that?
I'm interested.
Because our Omega is going to come back, and that will make our Gamma in hand not being live
and
anymore.
then we're going to see a Fenrir.
Well, you can always send the... Oh, I mean, I suppose you can wait, actually. So, Lorenzo, this is one of those interesting ones where, you know, it's the standby phase. 2 effects would activate in the standby phase, but Noah's effect has to activate.
Oh.
And Lorenzo can wait. He doesn't have to activate his effect, so he can always wait for Noah to go first.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of those really... Sometimes you get these interactions in the end phase, right, where, you know, one person is waiting until their opponent's activated an effect,
sure.
but you've got to figure out who's allowed to go
But
first.
I mean, one resource that sometimes in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not paid so much attention to anymore is life points. And Noah had to pay 4,000 life points for Piri Rice Map, and that means he's currently down 5,000 even, because there also was some battle damage, and therefore he has to hurry up here because there's only 5 minutes left.
I was just going to mention that Lorenzo has the Primeval Planet Wraiths up there to get an extra pop, and it's in the standby phase, so I don't think you can use Omega yet.
But you can use Omega to get back one of your resources that is in the graveyard to the extra deck. So that might actually be something he is quite keen of. However, there's still a Fenrir on the board now because you did not Gamma the... I don't know why he didn't Gamma the Rysart. That was so important.
Yeah, there's so much to think about here. It's difficult to, like, keep track of... You know, maybe you just think it's just a shame. Like, a lot of the... I think a lot of players have found this when you're playing the Kashtira deck. It's like you can make a rank 7, and you really want something that can interact with your opponent somehow. There's a lot of rank 7s that destroy opponents' cards. There's not really many that negate any of your opponent's effects, so maybe Noah just wasn't that scared. Maybe he should have been more scared, but maybe he just thought, you know what, it won't stop me from playing anything next turn if I let him make a rank 7.
Very heads-up play here by Lorenzo to summon Fenrir in attack position, by the way, because sometimes you would be like, I want to prevent damage being dealt here so close to the timeout, but there's like phobia being being on the field of Noah. So if there are 3 defense position monsters on the field at some point, he will be able to just destroy 1 card on the field. Oh, that's a sad card from Noah.
That might be the trap again, but I think that the trap of Noah already is in the graveyard, so he cannot switch it somewhere.
Surely he only runs the 1 copy of Super Factorial.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that was Shade Brigandine that he's probably... Like, Shade Brigandine would not be live, and we are going to pass it over to Lorenzo.
Oh my goodness.
So after such a powerful turn 1 from Noah, this is not looking great all of a sudden anymore. And I mean,
standby phase effect.
we can just activate here Shangri-Ira. Then he could use the Gamma, but we can just still protect our Shangri-Ira by its own effect.
And then you're between... It's not quite enough to attack for game this turn with the Shangri-Ira and the boosted... No, it is, because you can make an Arise Heart once you've... No, you can't, because it has to successfully activate. So if this is negated, it won't have successfully activated because the activation is negated.
Yeah, and also he's going to get the Gamma and the driver onto the field, so there's some monsters stopping him from attacking.
So I don't think you're allowed to use the planet here or overlay into an Arise Heart because it's not been successfully activated.
Correct.
However, you will be able to use the Fenrir, which will then activate the other effect. So it will be successfully activated. So I think Lorenzo should be, if he uses the effect of Fenrir to banish the driver or the Gamma, he will then be able to destroy a card. Oh,
we did not activate it, and there's the Reichphobia again. So both players now with Reichphobia on the field, and now all of a sudden...
I'm too far ahead of myself.
Now all of a sudden Lorenzo wants to have some monsters in defense position again because he could use the effect of the field spell now.
When have we seen 2 Reichphobias the last time?
I don't know. Never, to be honest. I think never in the featured match, at least. So, Reichphobia supporting both the Mathmech and the Kashtira strategy here.
I'm wondering why Lorenzo didn't use the effect of Shangri-Ira in the standby phase.
I think he just wants to play it safe. There's a tribute summon for Shifter, so he assumes this is just going to be enough to go for game here. But attack with Dimension Shifter and attack with Kashtira Fenrir to take the game here for Lorenzo Santoni. So the Italian takes it down here versus the US man, and what a match.
I think if this was the Shade Brigandine, he could have activated this in the opposing turn.
It looks like it was a Call by the Grave. That was the card I saw.
And I didn't even get to make my joke.
You can make it, go on.
No, we're waiting for the next Call by the Grave.
But now, let's face it, if we are building up such an exciting board, or field rather, and like we really thought that is amazing because you were so hyped about it. This is a Mathmech field plus something on top of it, and then it still gets broken by a Kashtira hand.
I want to say that was just really well navigated by Lorenzo.
True.
Using the extra attack points of the field spell to run over the negations before then using your effects in main phase 2. It's just... It just shows to show how powerful the Kashtira deck in the hands of a skilled player, right?
Yes, for sure.
However, if we didn't immediately go for the Super Factorial, first of all, either the Unicorn effect would have been off the turn, which was really important later on.
Yeah.
We could have waited for the battle phase and then went for Super Factorial, because in the battle phase, 2 monsters were taken from the field. You know, we got rid of the Lambda, so Gamma was not in there anymore.
Yeah.
And we ran over the Laplacian.
True.
I totally agree with you.
If we kept the Super Factorial until battle phase, we would have had so much advantage there. We would have had the Gamma still. So if he activated it, you use the Gamma. Okay, you still have the Laplacian effect, you still have the Laplacian negate, you still have... you have the Gamma on board, which is arguably not the best thing in the world, but it is still something.
I totally agree. I think perhaps if he'd gone for that line, it might have been able to secure him the game.
I'm riling myself up here.
Maybe it's a little bit of a jet lag issue here because, as I said, he is from the US, so therefore it's not his usual time to play Yu-Gi-Oh! In the day. But and then also on top of that, he's playing such a unique deck where you have to remember so many different things. I wouldn't be surprised if he would even be the inventor of that deck, but he wasn't the man that was victory here in that match, particularly because the man that took it down here is the Italian powerhouse Lorenzo Santoni.
YCS champion, Rimini
YCS
2015.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Arguably one of the hardest formats to play competitively, one of the most difficult decks he piloted, Necros.
Indeed it was. And he has also chosen a pretty cool deck for this event, which is Kashtira, which is a lot more popular than, for example, the Mathmech deck. But still, we want to hear it from Lorenzo himself. So, Ed, what has our winner to say from this round?
Thank you very much, Basti. Yes, I am here with Lorenzo, who's just won that round 10 feature match. Now, we were just saying before we came on camera that obviously you're no stranger to the YCS because you won YCS Rimini back in 2015. Long ago. You're now here, back in London, 2023, looking to get it. Were you expecting to go up against things like Mathmech this weekend?
I didn't really expect to get something like that.
How did you feel you handled it? Well, considering you won pretty well, but what was going through your mind while you're playing a deck like that?
It was a very hard matchup because I didn't have anything to stop him besides the dimension shifter, because Edge and Impermanence are not enough against such a deck. So I didn't draw shifter, but I still managed to win the game somehow, so I'm very happy about it.
Well, there was lots of interactions going on, so let's go through some of the games. So game one, it was a pretty... You actually did quite a lot of things with, banishing the Zeus, denying a couple of searches, enemy controller on Splash Mage. So you were doing quite a lot of things, but then Noah managed to clear your field with Laplation off the Super Factorial. So at that point, are you just thinking, right, this isn't going anywhere, let's get into game two?
Yes, it's exactly like it went. I couldn't do anything about that. I didn't have much left, so I just... let's go to game two, yeah.
And then game two was where things started to really pick up for you, straight into that dimension shifter, which it completely disrupts the Mathmechs. And then you built that Shangri-Era and a Rise Heart, and you just had everything that Kashtira has to offer. You were about to do the 5 blocking of the zones with shifter. That's a huge field. Yeah, so at that point, are you thinking, I could take this?
Yeah, that's the biggest field I can do with the deck, so nothing to say about that. It's just what the deck do, and feeling pretty good about doing that.
Absolutely, yeah. It really does show off what Kashtira is capable of. And this is our 4th time featuring Kashtira this weekend. And only your match and the last one that we featured in have actually shown off that full scope of Kashtira. So it's always good to see, because that's what that deck is meant to do. And then we got into that 3rd game. It was quite interesting to see what was going to happen, because Noah took some risks there, cutting his life points down to try and get some of the things out, building that huge field just off the forward skipper. But then you had Triple Tactics Thrust hit with a Mega, but you had a second one ready to go.
Yeah, I had the second one, and I think he made a little misplay, yeah, because he didn't negate the field spell with Therian, yeah. No, with the Therian. And I could go into battle phase and beat down the Lambda, so he couldn't activate Gamma. And also I beat the other guy. And also he made another misplay, in my opinion, when he decided to not activate Gamma on the Rise Art. Because it was empty field, and he could activate the Rise Art, the Gamma on the Rise Art. He didn't. And I could go on the Shangri-La. And also in the standby phase, I could go into Fenrir and lock the game.
Well, the commentators were saying exactly what you said. They were wondering why Gamma didn't come out. But you're right, you had that Fenrir, the tribute summon for Dimension Shifter as well, just because you knew you had game there. There are only 3,000 life points left, you knew, and it all came together for you. So at this point, you're now 9-1. What was your one loss against?
Against a friend of mine, actually teammate. Oh, wow. Unfortunately, I bricked twice. But it happens.
It happens.
So, yeah, it happens. But I'm still fine like this.
What deck were they playing?
My friend is playing Branded.
Okay. So it was against Branded that you lost. And what other decks have you faced in those 9 wins?
Like every deck's possible.
It's quite a diverse one, isn't it?
It's quite a diverse meta, yeah.
But I think that's quite exciting, because we get to see some really exciting feature matches, including this one, which you've won. Only 2 more rounds of this Swiss left. Do you think you could take it all the way into that top cut?
Yeah, we can do this.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear, Lorenzo. Congratulations. Well done. Guys, don't go anywhere, because we're going to be back with that round 11 and then very soon the 12 feature very, very soon. But before then, we'll probably have a little bit of a quiz and possibly a chat with some of our commentators. Don't go anywhere.